She was a mother, a beloved DJ. She was the one who was killed while Kansas City was celebrating their latest Super Bowl win yesterday, caught in the crossfire between a group that got into a fight. Today we're learning more about that victim, and we're going to check in with our Jaleesa Irizarry in Kansas City coming up in just a moment.
But first, we're going to dive into how that shooting unfolded. Police say they currently have 2 juveniles detained. That shooting hurt 22 others. Police say half of them are under the age of 16. 2 of the victims are still in critical condition today. Police say the shooting started as a dispute between several people and ended in gunfire. They recovered several guns, and today we're hearing more stories about people who ran as the gunfire erupted, including a state lawmaker and father.
Immediately grabbed Camila because she's so little, and I was watching people being trampled. I picked her up and I ran into a restaurant along with members of the team, with Hunt family members, and we hid. I ran into the bathroom and I blocked the door, and it broke my heart to think about the reality that my daughter knows what this is.
So let's take a live look now at Kansas City. That is Union Station, the view courtesy of EarthCam. This park, of course, filled with celebrants yesterday, and then those people who were terrified and had to run yesterday. As far as that train station, the building plans to reopen to the public tomorrow morning. Our Jaleesa Irizarry now joining us live from Union Station in Kansas City. She's been there since last night.
And Jaleesa, today you learned more about the woman who died. She was a local DJ with a big impact on the community.
Yeah, Lisa Lopez-Galvan was far more than a DJ. She was an advocate for Latinos in Kansas City, and today that community is hurting. No one expects for this to happen, for confetti to cover a crime scene. But even as news came out of another championship parade, excitement was mixed with caution. Even for radio DJ Lisa Lopez.
We're champions.
Okay, well, champion yourself, because I have to champion
Kansas
myself
Cityans,
at work. Champions
that are going to celebrate the victory of Sunday's game.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be at work.
Please be careful,
so.
everybody getting
Yes.
down here, leaving, and
have fun, have tons of fun.
And let's be safe.
Careful. Yeah, there's also young kids there, so be courteous, as we know you Kansas City people can be.
If only those words were heard by more people, maybe Lisa would be alive, and Joe Arce
shocked.
Wouldn't be sitting here.
Totally shocked. And when I say shocked, that's not just coming from me, it's coming from the community as a whole. And we have to be there for them as well.
Joe owns and writes for the Kansas City Hispanic News, a weekly community paper.
Number 12.
He once featured Lisa and her dad, a well-known musical family.
I've known her pretty much all of her life. Even though we're not related, community-wise, we're related.
Lisa did more than play music.
Absolutely.
She advocated for the Latino community, even promoted a fundraiser for Joe's daughter.
She was diagnosed with COVID, and then it turned it into pneumonia, and she nearly died. And they had a fundraiser for her. Lisa stepped up, Lopez, and said, I want to help. And thank God, my daughter lived.
Nothing can change what happened, but Lisa's colleagues know.
Before we get started today,
through the hurt, this city can heal.
we are all saddened by the events that happened yesterday, and especially it impacted KKFI and I lost personally, but we will recover, we will go forward, and we will continue.
The radio station Lisa worked for released a statement saying they are heartbroken for this senseless act that took away a beautiful person from their family as well as their community. Kim and Tom.
Jaleesa, hearing her talk about before the parade about celebrants staying safe, being safe, so ironic, so unfortunate that she had sent that message out, and she's the one who didn't go home from the parade.
You can't help but think about what was probably in the back of her mind when she was saying that to people, right? I mean, she was encouraging people to be safe, and it's just a heartbreaking situation, a sequence of events that occurred after that.
Yeah. So many families out there, people just gathering for a positive, wonderful day, and it ends like this. And it's going to be hard to ever think about the good that happened just on Sunday after something like this. So, all right. Thank you, Jaleesa. As this investigation develops, we will keep you posted on air and online. You can see our latest coverage by downloading our free 9 News app. It's been more than 8 years. 8 years since 3 people were shot and killed at a Planned Parenthood in Colorado Springs. If the accused shooter ever stands trial, he'll have to be found competent, but that may require him to take forced medication.
And that is the issue in front of a federal appeals court. They're considering the question as to whether the government can in fact medicate him against his will. Our investigative reporter Kevin Vaughn was listening to today's hearing virtually. And Kevin, this case, as we just talked about, has now dragged on for more than 8 years.
Tom, it has, and today's hearing was just the next step in what has been a very long process, a process with no certain end in sight.
Protect babies.
The man accused of attacking a Planned Parenthood
Truth.
has never held back in court, even admitting he was guilty in the 2015 incident that left 3 dead and 8 others wounded. But one thing he's never done is take medication to treat his mental illness. Without that, there's little hope he'll be found competent to stand trial. In 2022, a federal judge ruled that Robert Deere could be forcibly medicated if necessary. Today, in a virtual hearing, Deere's attorney told 3 appeals court judges that ruling was flawed, partly because it contained no explanation of why it didn't find persuasive that the defense's medical expert thought forced medication was a bad idea.
Here, the district court discussed literally nothing of what the defense expert says. So under really any standard, that can't be enough.
That's federal public defender Jacob Ross-Chabot.
In light of the evidence presented, that wasn't a sufficient explanation.
Judge Robert Bachrach questioned that.
We're not supposed to decide, are we? I mean, that's first I've heard that we're supposed to decide which expert's correct. That's for the district court.
And Assistant U.S. Attorney Marissa Miller defended the earlier ruling.
You know, we have a 20-page order. We have 50 factual findings. There can always be more analysis, but the district court gave this court what it needs to understand the basis of the court's decision.
What the Court of Appeals decides may ultimately determine whether this 8-year-old case ever goes before a jury. Today's hearing lasted less than an hour. Now prosecutors and Deere wait for the Court of Appeals to issue a ruling, something that could take weeks or months. Tom?
Kevin, this was such a big story, of course, when it happened, but it has been so long now. You wonder about how sometimes these cases start to slide through the cracks or become lost, at least in the public's mind, to many.
Yeah, and you know, I talked to the Court of Appeals this afternoon about when we might get a ruling, and I was told there's no firm date. And I said, well, can we say weeks or months? And they said, could even be longer. Sometimes it goes more than a year. We don't expect that here, but we wait and we wait and we wait, and the victims and their families have been waiting all this time.
Already 8 years since it happened. All right, thank you, Kevin.
So the Colorado High Country saw the first blast of snow this week. Here's a live look at the Steamboat snow camera. The ski resort is reporting 5 inches overnight. Looks like it's still just a little bit wispy snow out there. Many other places along I-70 woke up to 3 to 4 inches of fresh snow today. And take a look at this. We started our day with some fog. It was really dark and dreary for a while. Jonah sent us this view from Red Rocks Park this morning. So beautiful. You had to get above the fog to appreciate the beauty. It caused a lot of delays at DIA, about 200 at DIA this morning.
Taking a live look outside now. We did talk about some flurries, but mostly snow-free in Denver today. The second round of storms heading our way tomorrow. So let's talk about it with Kathy joining us now with our first look at our weather. Kath?
An interesting 24 hours, right, to be sure. We were in the mid-50s yesterday with sunshine, and then last night we had that front come in out of Wyoming, and while it didn't have a lot of moisture with it, there was enough of a wind shift and low-level moisture to bring in that dense fog. Initially, we thought it would be basically north of Denver, but it was so dense it settled all the way in through Denver and all the way down to Parker and out east, and it took hours to burn off. But it did burn off, and then with sunshine, we made it to 52 in downtown Denver. We're still in the 40s at DIA. Snow showers, something we've been talking about, as Kim mentioned, all afternoon, and the snow will be ramping up as the main system from the west moves into Colorado. Winter weather and travel advisories extend from Steamboat and Vail down to Telluride. They'll be looking at 4, 8, even 10 inches of snow by Saturday morning, and we have a little moisture we're tracking to the north. I think overnight snow showers in Denver is certainly a potential. I don't know that it'll be falling when you're moving through the morning drive tomorrow, but certainly the main event will be tomorrow night, but kind of an unsettled period of weather for us over the next 24 hours. But all the advisories for snow stay in the high country, and Colorado Avalanche Information Center wants you to be aware. Park Range, the areas north of Steamboat, very dangerous slab conditions developing up that way. So we really want to be mindful of that heading into the weekend. We're nice right now, but I do think as we get into the overnight time period, we're going to see a couple of snow showers. You probably won't wake up to that snow in the morning. It'll be this time tomorrow night that we start to see this 1 to 3 inches of snow. We're going to talk much more about the Friday storm and look ahead to your weekend in detail in just a bit.
A delay for drivers downtown as crews are working on emergency bridge work at Lincoln Street between 6th and 7th Avenues. Department of Transportation crews say concrete has deteriorated, leaving a large pothole on the bridge that crosses Cherry Creek. Right now, the 2 far right travel lanes on Lincoln are closed, as is the one on the left turn lanes from 6th Avenue. They expect these closures to run through at least next Friday. So drivers should just be aware and expect to slow down or go some other way. It has been a long time coming. The Amache National Historical Site in southeastern Colorado is getting added to the national park system. The Department of the Interior formally designated Amache as the Amache National Historic Site. Amache is where 7,300 Japanese Americans from the West Coast were relocated after the attack on Pearl Harbor. The site became part of the national park system 2 years ago. It's now gained formal status after the town of Grenada acquired and donated enough land for this historical designation.
The Denver airport getting more federal funding, trying to help the luggage get from check-in onto the planes themselves. Of course, you remember last month the meltdown that pretty much shut down the baggage system there when a belt on the east side of the terminal broke. Well, now DIA is getting nearly $27 million from the feds to continue the overhaul of the system. This is now the 3rd federal payout for baggage repairs. DIA already has $82 million in federal funds that have been collected to start the project. The new system is looking to improve the processing times as well as reduce energy usage and also be able to handle the growing number of travelers out at DIA. Of course, anytime we get to talk about the luggage problems at DIA, we like to haul back the old video from February of 1995 when the airport opened. The airport was pretty excited for this new modern baggage system. The problem was it wasn't very good at moving bags. It was tossing things, throwing luggage around, destroying bags even. So the luggage problems this year, that's not great, but at least it's better than it was 29 years ago when they were trying to open up this new modern, super smart system. It was
such a big deal. Everybody was hyped. It's like, this is like, you know, Jetson kind of stuff.
It was genius, except that it didn't move bags. Otherwise, perfect.
I know. Bags just...
All right, coming up, a 13-year-old facing 14 charges, standing accused of shooting and killing a man on an RT bus. At 4:30, we'll explore why teens can be charged as adults and what may happen in this case.
Colorado's top lawyers looking to stop 2 massive grocery store chains from merging. Our legal analyst is here to talk about the new lawsuit to stop the Kroger-Albertsons deal.